Hello, hello.
Hello, Mr. Mike. How's it going?
Not bad. It's a really nice
Oh,
day here today, but I
oh.
have to be.
What about yourself?
I'm okay. I'm healthy. Everything's fine. I went for a walk this morning to get the
Mm,
energy, going, but it's starting to be like springtime weather here. It's just a nice part of the year, and I'm looking forward to finishing work tonight.
mm.
I want to go
Right
outside.
now, it's night time. What time there?
No, no. I'm in Europe, right? So you're in
Which?
Iraq. It's about the same
Yes.
time. It's 12 o'clock here.
Which country do you live in Europe right now?
Czech Republic.
Huh?
The Czech Republic.
Czech Republic? Ah, Czech
Yeah, in
Republic.
Arabic, Czech.
Oh, Czech. Uh, uh, does Czech in Europe?
It's in the middle of Europe. Yeah, it's 12 o'clock noon here.
Mm, okay.
What time is it in Iraq?
In Iraq, it's 1 afternoon. One
Yeah,
o'clock
so we
afternoon.
are 1 hour behind you.
Yes. Okay. Uh, we're talking about the present perfect with the have you ever. We need
Yeah.
to discuss about the present perfect. Before we start, I before we start this session to discuss the present perfect, I want to ask you about. I uh, try to learn some vocabularies from this dictionary.
All right. Illustrated English for everyone. Fine.
Okay, it's really
Hmm.
amazing dictionary. Interior organs or abilities and actions. It's a huge vocabulary with this dictionary, and I learned vocabularies, but I don't make it a sentence. Don't make the vocabularies in sentence or not to practice. Just say vocabularies and read the
Yeah,
grammar in the essential grammar and use. Okay, tell me,
I have
am
that
I?
book too.
Huh?
I have that book too. Same
Yes,
book.
yes. It's amazing. It's Cambridge Dictionary, Cambridge books. It's really
Hmm.
interesting because explain so many about the grammar.
But
Okay.
this is for your students, right?
Uh,
Because
no
I
for.
think you personally, you could benefit from the blue book, English grammar and use.
I
Be-
have it. Let me show you this.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, I don't
That
know what your
you mean?
level is for grammar
You,
exactly. That
uh,
one's for intermediate students, right?
uh. Okay, I have all the series of these books for the grammar and use, and
Hmm.
I read it. It's really interesting. Okay,
I think if you really learn that first and second book, you'll be okay. That advanced grammar and use, it's
yes.
confusing for students. I find that it's not as easy for students to get through it.
Mm,
But almost everything you need is in that blue one. So, with your difficult vocabulary, Ahmed, make some sentences and bring them to me and put them in the chat box, okay? If
mm,
you find a word that you don't know how to use, so
mm,
bring me those words and let's work on it. But try to make a sentence, paste
mm.
them into the chat box, and we will read them next time. For the present perfect, okay,
Yes.
this is the place where American and English have the biggest difference in grammar, okay?
Absolutely. Mm,
the the books that you have are English, like British English,
yes.
and they teach present perfect the way an English person speaks. Okay.
Yes.
In reality, and if you take the first certificate or advanced certificate test, they accept American English. Okay. So if you use the past tense instead of the present perfect, it's okay. For British English, it's considered maybe a mistake. I don't know how a British teacher feels about that. But have you ever seen this film?
Mm.
Americans will say, "Did you ever?"
Mm.
Instead of
Uh,
Americans, instead of saying, "Have you eaten yet?"
mm,
they will say, "Did you eat yet?" and use the past simple. The Americans will use the past simple for the the things that happened and finished in the past.
mm.
Okay. Present perfect is between the past and the present.
Oh yes, I
All
know
right.
that. Yes.
And it's sort of strange because most languages don't have a between time. They have past, present, future, and that's that, right? But let me give you an example. I have been living. I have been living in Prague for a long time. This is present perfect continuous.
Yes, I know
Americans
because you
don't
just
use the
yes.
past simple for this. Okay.
Uh,
This one you
why?
have to use in both American and British English because the action started in the past, but the action is still continuing,
Mm.
right? When I ask, have you read that book? I don't think you're still reading the book. I'm asking if you finished it in the past. It's about a finish action, right? If I say, yeah, I have met Ahmed, or I met Ahmed, meeting somebody is just a moment in the past and it's finished, right? But when I tell you I have been living in Prague for a long time, that started in the past and it's still true. I'm still living in Prague. And for this, I have to use the present perfect continuous. I cannot use the past. All right. And I cannot use the present. So the present perfect continuous, an action that starts in the past and that is still continuing. Example, we have been talking for 7 minutes. It tells me that the conversation started 7 minutes ago. The conversation is still continuing. Okay. It's different than we talked for 7 minutes. That's finished. It's different than we will talk for 7 minutes. That's in the future. So we have been talking for 7 minutes is the only possibility for something that started in the past and is still going. For those, you must use present perfect continuous or present perfect simple, like I have known you for 2 months. We don't say I have been knowing, right? Because the verb to know, we don't use in the continuous. So in this case, where we don't use the verb in the continuous, we say, I have known you for 2 months. This is also something that started in the past and is still continuing. I still know you. Okay. So in cases where the action is still continuing in the present, you must use present perfect. But in the cases where the action is past and finished, you can choose. You can say, have you seen that film? You can say, did you see that film? You
Uh,
can
uh,
say, I
it's
have met
say
the ambassador or I met the
it's
ambassador.
same meaning or different meaning between the
Exactly
have
the
you
same meaning. Exactly the
uh,
same.
just
Right?
the just the difference between the words. How do you express about the situation about the case? For example, have you seen this film or did you see this film?
The
Did you
only
use it
difference
in
for
past?
the only difference for me
Mm.
is a matter of formality.
Yes,
For
I
an
thought that.
for an American person, if suddenly like, oh, I'm talking to the president of the United States and I have to like seem proper, I will switch into present perfect. I have done this, I have done that. But when I'm talking
Yes.
to my family, if I use present perfect in the cases where they use the past simple, they think I'm a snob, right? They're
Mm.
like, oh, why do you talk like that? You are something special. You're using formal language. So, in fact, in the U.S., you can seem more formal by using the present perfect. In the cases where you could use the past simple when the action is finished.
Well, we can say there's American grammar for the present perfect and the British grammar for the present perfect.
Well, there are differences, and if you look in your blue English grammar in use, in the very back of that book,
Uh,
there, I
uh,
think it's
uh,
Appendix 7,
you mean you
exactly.
mean you mean in that?
Look in the back of the book and find Appendix 7, I think it is. It's in the very back, and
Yeah.
it says the differences between English and British
Ah,
grammar.
yes, yes, yes. Appendix 7.
Yeah,
Appendix. Yes, American English.
there you
There's a
go. So
few.
read that, and it will explain it a little more.
Yes, there are a few grammatical difference between the British English and American English. Unit Unit 113 British. We say the present perfect is often used for now and new or recent happenings. For example, I lost my keys. Have you seen it?
Mm.
American the past simple is more common for a new or recent happens. Uh, I lost my keys. Did you see it?
Did you see them or did you see it? Okay,
Did
so
you see it?
the
Yes.
important the important wording there, really, it's
Mm.
more common, right?
Mm.
That means you can use one or the other, but the past is more common. And so with my family, I use that past. It's more familiar.
Yes.
But when they
That's
say it's
mean.
just more common, that means the meaning is the same, right?
Mm.
It's not a
Uh,
question of meaning, it's a question of how common it is.
mm. That's mean American people to ask with the past simple and British people to ask with the present perfect when you lost
Yeah,
something, right?
sure. But I
Okay.
suggest for you that you
Yes.
learn one way or the other.
Absolutely,
Like
I support.
as a student, you should know the
Mm,
differences, like you're reading them there.
mm,
But I think it makes more sense when you're teaching students if you consistently use the same way. So you
mm,
need to sort of choose one. But then you have to understand that the Americans and Brits have this difference, right?
mm. But each other to understand the British or American to understand this.
We have
Just
no problem understanding them. They have no problem
oh,
understanding us.
okay,
Not at
okay.
all. It's not difficult at all.
It's easy, I think. Okay.
I
Uh,
think the American form makes more sense. And so you have to use the present perfect when the action is still true in the present. Like
mm,
we have been talking for 14 minutes. That's still true. We're still talking. I have been married for 10 years means I'm still married, right? And it's a 10-year marriage. I was married for 10 years means it's finished, right? And
okay.
so it's sort of convenient. If I say I have been married for 10 years, it's the same as saying I got married 10 years ago and I haven't been divorced. All of that together.
Okay. Uh, Present perfect we use it to with the have been had played when we're talking about the some about the time in the past until now. That's American people to not talking about because the present perfect we're talking about something happened in the past. For this reason, to American people to use the past simple.
And we just use the past because it happened in the past. And the
Okay,
British
okay,
use it in a time frame, something in the past that happened before now. And
mm,
so it's connected to
yes,
now. But it's really
yes,
for us just a question of formality, right? If it's in the
okay.
past, you imagine it in the past, use the past.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Ibrahim, you too.
Goodbye.